Hello and welcome to the Digital Classroom. I am Jamie Benedict here with the tools and techniques to help you improve your digital curriculum. We are now in the planning stages of going back to school, and that means that a lot of us are going back to school in different ways. And some of that's going to be face-to-face, some of that's going to be online instruction, and we need to find a way to communicate with our students for any of that distance learning. In the spring, when all of this hit, one of the programs that we had available to us was a program called Zoom. They had all kinds of issues for teachers when that first hit, and so a lot of school districts said, absolutely not, you're not using Zoom. There was no way for schools to control it. There was no way for teachers to monitor everything that was going on in there, so it caused all kinds of problems. There are other programs like WebEx, which I really like. I think it's a great program. There's a lot of good uses for it, and I think it's a little bit more controllable. And then there's a program called Microsoft Teams, which is the one that I want to look at with you today. Now, for Microsoft Teams, there's two things that I want to show you with this, and there are so many features that are available in this program. One, couldn't cover them all today, and two, I just want to get to the point where we are getting started with using Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to show you two things today. One is how to create a team using this program, and two is how to set up a meeting so that you can actually talk with your students and what that meeting will look like. So the first thing we're going to do when we open up Teams, and it's really easy download and it's really user friendly, we're going to go ahead and create a team. I'm setting up a class, and I'm going to give this class a name. And I'm going to click Next. And now we can start looking for students. The great thing with Microsoft Teams, if your school has integrated this as part of your system, then it should automatically populate the list of students available to you. And if it does that, then you can simply type in the last name of a student and pull that student right into your class. And just click on their name and click Add. And I'm only going to do this with two names just so that we can get started. It's very easy to do. Unfortunately, there is not really a way to do a bulk add for members to join your team. I've tried a couple of different things. I've done some research online. I haven't found anything. If there is something out there and I find out about it later, I'll create another video and show you how to do a bulk add of students to your team. But my class for business ownership is actually quite small, so this is a really easy way for me to do it. I can keep my window open that's got my class roster, and I'll just type in their last name real quick and click on the student that I want to join the class. If you have a large class and you've got 30 or 40 students in that class and you don't want to go through that for everyone, which I completely understand, you can click on these three dots where your team has been created, and you are going to get a link to the team. And you can copy this link, and then you can paste this into your learning management system, Canvas or Blackboard or Schoology or whichever one you use. And then students can click on that. And if we go back here, there we go. This is where we started. If I have a code, I can enter that code here and then click Join Team, and that will allow me to be a part of that program. You're trusting at that point that students will actually click on the link and join your team, but we have to trust the students at some point. So creating a team is really easy in this program. I love it. I think it's a great way to be able to connect with your students and get that information out there. Now, you do have the ability to upload class materials and things like that. If you already have an LMS that's being used by your county, I would strongly urge you just to continue using that LMS. The students need to have one place for all classes where they can go to find material. They shouldn't have to be looking for 7 different teachers to try to find where their work is. I think it's just easier that way. So we're going to not look at uploading class materials for this particular one. We're going to go ahead and just jump into the meeting. And so here is where you're going to set up a meeting. So I'm in my class, and the first way I'm going to show you is just to do a meet now. So if your students know where they're supposed to meet, then this is going to work out perfectly for them. And you've already given them the class, so they jump in here and they can join the meeting as well. So I can test my camera, and a second camera has turned on. I use my laptop camera for this so that you guys can see how things work. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Meet now. Turn that microphone off. And you can see my timer's running. The meeting has started. And I can turn my camera on and off if I want to. I can turn my microphone on and off if I want to. I can share on here. And this is a great feature when you are teaching a lesson, because you can actually share a PowerPoint and go through it slide by slide with students, or you can actually use the whiteboard. I'm not a fan of the whiteboard on these programs for a couple of reasons. The biggest reason being that I'm a lefty using a right-handed mouse. And so when I click on this, my motor skills don't quite work as well as I would like them to. And I don't like touch screens. So my personal laptop, which is where I do all of my recording, doesn't have a touch screen because I'm not a fan of them. But you can see that some of that might be useful for you. I prefer to use PowerPoint presentations, and that's just my way of doing it. But you can type in this as well. You can add a sticky note on here, and you can delete anything that goes on in your whiteboard there. And then of course I can go ahead and stop presenting, and now I'm right back to where I started, and I can now use my settings. And so I can turn off incoming video, I can end my meeting, or I can also record my meeting, which is very valuable too. A lot of teachers really liked having access to that. You can turn on live captions, and I'll turn this on just for a moment, just so you guys can see it. With the live captions, you can see the text popping up in the bottom of the screen. And you do have to speak very clearly and very deliberately. You also need to slow down a little bit so that you can get a correct translation there, or you get a correct closed captioning. Right now, from all the research that I have done on this, it is showing that right now the only translation that it will do is English. I know that they are working on having that ability to do more than just English in there, and they're working on several different languages. I saw a setup for it. I just haven't been able to access that here. You can also change your background effects, and this one here I really like. And you guys can see, here's my setup. My camera setup, my tutorial setup is very different. And when I do tutorials, I use an external camera. I think the quality's a little bit better. Plus, I can reposition my external camera wherever I want it to give me the best quality look. And in this case, I'm using my laptop camera. And of course, you can see all this extra stuff here on the side. I work out of my closet. And so I've set up a little studio in here. It's great acoustics for this type of thing. I've brought in extra lighting. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. But the background obviously is not what I would want it to be. When we did this in Zoom, one of the things that I kept noticing was that your image, your background image, was usually messed up. It was always grainy on the sides here. Sometimes it cut off your face. This one here is much better. And I'm going to go ahead and apply this and show you. There you go. You can see I haven't really lost any detail in here because of my green screen with some of this. And I think probably because of the way that everything is angled, I have a little bit of my green screen showing here, but you can see there's a pretty good background on that, and I can change my backgrounds very quickly. You can also upload a background, and I actually had a couple in here that I was trying to upload, and unfortunately it won't upload. You have to fit their specific image requirements, and you can figure out how to do that. And if you're one of the teachers at the school where I am, I will try to create some images that will work for you that are a little bit more school spirity. So we'll go ahead and create those backgrounds for you. The one thing I didn't like with this is my logo, obviously, for the digital classroom, and it flipped it. And I'm trying to figure out how to flip it back, but you can see my shirt has flipped as well. So my image is mirrored, and I'm not sure how I can change that. So let's go back, and I'm going to put this one on here and click apply. That works out well. And of course, I can look at my device settings, and this lets me check my microphones and my speakers so that I know exactly what I'm using. I can also change my cameras, and I can use one of my other cameras. I can't use this one currently because it's already in use, but you get the idea. And usually this is where you can flip your view and mirror the image, but I haven't found that. If I find it, I'll send out an update. So we can do things like that. You can also turn on your chat. I really like having access to a chat. Last year when all of this broke and we had students that went to digital, and it was a first time for almost all of them at that point, the students that spoke up in class a lot, the ones that really engaged with me in class, stopped talking on the computer and started typing in the chat. And the students who were super quiet in the class all of a sudden got really talkative when it came to the distance learning. They loved having the microphone and being able to interact with me that way. So it was quite a weird role reversal. But I'm always watching the chat, and a lot of kids think that they're going to be seen more easily here, or maybe heard more easily here, so they're going to type in the chat. I always watch the chat to see what questions are coming up and what the students want clarified, or if they had a comment that they want to add to it. And then I always read that chat back to them as a group. So, because the students aren't always watching the chat. So I'll always say, hey, Tom asked this, and then I'll go into that. Or, Tom suggested that this might be the case. And so I always read the chat back to the students. I can also see the participants in the room, and I can invite other students into this, or I can take attendance this way, or I can, send a meeting out and suggest to these kids, hey, you're supposed to be in class, or whatever that is. Now, I can also use this feature, and the students really liked this ability to do this during a session, and that was be able to raise their hand. And so this is really nice to have, where if a kid has a question, they can drop that hand up there, and then I can watch for that as well and be able to see, oh, this kid has a question. Let's stop and find out what's going on. So really great features when it comes to Microsoft Teams. This is a great program. I absolutely love it. The more I use it, the more I'm falling in love with it. So we're going to go ahead and end the meeting, and we'll drop out of that. There we go. And of course, once the meeting is done, it gets posted here, and it says, hey, this is the meeting that you just had. How was the call quality? And of course, they want to do their research. But then you can get a discussion going based on that. So that's a nice feature also to have here, where the students can see, hey, this is where that meeting took place. The second way to start a meeting is to click on Schedule a Meeting. And I like this feature personally because it's going to add this to the calendar. So I'm going to do live class session, and I'm going to pick a date and time to start this. And I'll just pick a date. We'll do August 4th for right now, and 1 o'clock. And then I can change how long I want that meeting to go. So this one's going to go 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I can tell this to repeat Monday through Friday, and I can actually do a custom date in here. So we're going to repeat every day until the 7th, and then I can click save, and it's going to add that to the calendar. So if you want to do a week by week setup, then you can do that. And I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to type in any details for this. I'm just going to go ahead and click send. And you can see that it is now added to their timeline. So they know that there's a live session. When I click on that live session, it's going to allow me to join the meeting, and then I can go right back into everything else that I was doing with with my setup. So it's very, very simple to use this program, and it keeps a record of everything that we are doing in the classroom, especially when it comes to these live sessions. You want to make sure that the students always know when are they supposed to log in, where are they supposed to be, how are they supposed to meet. And that's going to be real easy for them to do using Microsoft Teams. So that is everything that I wanted to show with Microsoft Teams. I think it's a great program. I think there's a lot that you're going to be able to do with it. And I will create a couple more tutorial videos for you to show you some of those other great features for Microsoft Teams. Thank you for joining me in the digital classroom today. For more tools and techniques for the digital curriculum, don't forget to sign up at my Facebook page at The Digital Classroom. And don't forget to sign up and subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Digital Classroom. I'm Jamie Benedict, and until next time, class is dismissed.